Hello and welcome back everybody to our Burton Albion DNA series. Yes, you can see we have finished the season. It did end up in a situation where we weren't going to get into the playoffs, so we have ended the season early, I guess. We haven't played through the last few matches. Again, another poor end to the season. I mean, is that just coincidence? Like, the only thing that notably changes from, like, Derby downwards is the training regime. But if I was to repeat part of the current schedule in that last part of the season, which part would you repeat? Like, do I take 2 random months, one in possession, one out of possession, in the middle of the season, and end it on that? I'm thinking I might have to do that, because we always seem to do pretty well in this period here. It's always October to sort of like January is always strong. Maybe I just take 2 of the months here and just whack them in, because there'll be 2 weeks obviously focused on one side more, then 2 weeks on the other. Maybe we do that. Because the fixtures weren't massively difficult here. We were on a bad one going into it. The fixtures were tough here, but they weren't so tough down here, and we still struggled anyway. I just feel like that those 3 games there we should have got more points out of. But like in this whole sort of bracket here, Huddersfield downwards was pretty poor effort from us. So we're going to review some players' attributes today. We'll also have a quick look at some of the stats, I think, as well. I want to look at some of the forwards, at least at the start. Let's have a look at their like striker stats and see what we think of this. Let's get them all selected in, actually. So let's just get all of the forwards, the players sort of played in the front 3 the most. Let's get them all selected here. Let's try and get the top players at the top that would have started the games the most. Let's try and get Brendan in 3, Keenan going 4, Victor. Yeah, we'll go with that. So we're looking at these players here and we analyse their stats. Let's have a look at this then. So, XG performance. For those of you that have been following my Moneyball save, that's something that's quite important to us. And what's interesting there is John King's actually got pretty good XG performance. I'm pretty surprised about his minutes per goal isn't too bad either. He actually finished the season with some pretty good striker stats. So I can't really blame him too much. It does seem like the players on the right were more of the issue, which was a combination of Brendan Hughes and Tom Kiernan, but they both switched of who was doing which role, so it's hard to label one of them as the problem until we do a whole season with them. But looking at that, that's not too bad at all from the 2 of the front 3. Yes, it's hard to really. I mean, I was hoping for something worse there, so I could sort of criticise John King, but he's actually done all right in this game, in this season. He's obviously not a player we thought he was going to be. I think what that tells me is that with a really good striker, that could be a really effective position for the central striker there. That's quite interesting, that. So I've looked at some creative stats here. Okay, so like an attacking number 10 sort of stats we're looking at first, then we'll look at the pivot ones after that. Open play key passes goes to Tom Kiernan. Sam Heller is actually second on the list. That means Brendan Hughes isn't that creative. He's an effective goal-scoring moving midfield player from what that looks like. Conversion ratio is pretty poor on a couple of these. Shot target ratio is not very great either. Dribbles per 90, Brendan Hughes 2.23. So he's a dribbling player, but not much of a creator. As Tom Kiernan's less of a dribbler, more of a creator in terms of passing, which is interesting to have the 2 blends, which is a good thing, really. Looking at the overall picture of central midfield players and the stats for like defensive as well, let's have a look then. So tackle win ratio 69, 60, 68 for the 2 players that are more aggressive anyway. That's pretty good though, I think, across the board. Heller's is a little low, but we know he's not the greatest. Tackles per 90, though his is a bit higher. Interceptions per 90. Now Hudson needs to get better at that, because he's significantly better than Heller at tackle win ratio. So if he could get his interceptions per 90 up, he'd be an all-round better player defensively. Now, he's a lot younger. He's got more room, I think, to grow. So he could still be the better option next season to start as the starting pivot player instead of Heller. The Heller 1 ratio, obviously, is terrible for a couple of the players, but not too bad in others. So I think overall, looking at them, these 2 players just here, I do think that Hudson's the better option long-term. But Heller's not bad either, just not great. Just a bit bang average now, isn't he, really? But he's developed into a good player. He's sort of basically Gilligan. Well, not the exact type of player, but he's that sort of level of player. But there we are. Okay, centre-backs next. Have a look at this. And tackle win ratio. Carl Andrews' tackle win ratio is very, very low, but that can happen to central defenders in the middle of a back 3, as we've said before. Key tackles per 90 goes to Mitchell King, slightly lower for the 2 there, and then 2 lowers again for the 2 players that were easy. I think the 4th and 5th choice this year. I think Sam Hughes and Hamer are going to have to switch, though, because Sam Hughes is now 32, Hamer's only 29, and they're quite similar level of players, despite the valuation difference, I think. So, yeah, I think that's pretty time for us to try. I mean, the close finances aren't great. I'm tempted to sell Sam Hughes, even though he's really good, just to get some of the other players in And the only reason is that the finances of the club aren't great because I've been trying to re-sign, I guess, so many players to big contracts to keep them. So, yeah, there we are. But then interceptions per 90, Hamer's got the most, and you've got these lads all in a pretty similar amount. Carl Andrew on the least. Mistakes is pretty low across the board, although Mitchell King has 2. Open play key passes per 90 is pretty similar across the board. Mitchell King's got the most. Lowest is Andrew. Draws per 90 is high on the side players. Definitely high for Hamer. And slightly lower for Carl Andrew. And header win ratio. Now, Tom Hamer, though, 61% header win ratio is not good enough. And it's not really good enough from Andrew and Hughes, considering they're like 6'3", 6'5" centre-backs. That's really poor, actually. Looking at the goalkeepers then, looking at a few stats here. Save ratio is by far in Aled Harrison's favour, and that's probably the first stat I would look at. And it's a smaller sample size for the other 2 goalkeepers, but there you are, yeah. 5 mistakes of the season, Aled Harrison. Not great. So, just for a bit of fun, I've sorted the players by their win ratio. As you can see here, let's go down to like Brendan Hughes. Everybody here is 38% win ratio or above. And like, you can't take this stat in isolation, to be honest, because somebody could be very unlucky playing in all the tough games when everybody else has got injuries, and that's why theirs are so low. But yeah, that's interesting. You can almost pick a full 11 out of that. Gavin Pritchard's win ratio is pretty high, which is quite interesting. He needs some football this year to improve, but we've got a couple of youngsters. I think Halder's just going to get everyone out really early doors next season, just because I think he can improve. I think just throwing him into the first team is the only way we're going to see if he can do it. And we're going to probably take a bit of a hit. Like, in the end this season, we finished on 1 point less than last season. So a few places down, but it's only 1 point less. And I almost felt like we actually had more of a chance of getting to the playoffs this year. We were in really good. We were in a really good position. After the MK Dons game, I had Wigan, Mill, Rotherham. 3 of those 4 were terrible. Leicester were the only tough side. And to have only got 4 points from those 4 games was just disastrous, really. We needed at least 8. I mean, if we'd have got an extra 4 points, that would have put us really close going into the last few games. And the Reading game that we lost, we could probably have done better in, but I rotated the whole side and played not want to say a weakened side, but I wanted to give like Luke Norval a gameplay terribly. I gave some of the players that haven't played as much a chance. If we sort the team by minutes played, so excluding the goalkeepers don't really count, but Mitchell King played quite a lot of minutes. In fact, he played more minutes than the first choice goalkeeper. So Mitchell King has played a lot for us this year. I've just offered him a new contract, actually, to try and get this up to 16 million. I've actually accidentally got rid of this, so he's only going to have a 5-year contract with no 3 years on top of it, but it's still a 5-year contract from now. And, yeah, this goes to 16 million, which should hopefully put off people for this year taking him off us. And Aled Harrison's the same. He's only going to get a 5-year contract, I think, but his goes up to, I think, 12 or 13, his release clause. So a couple of those being changed. And Brendan Hughes basically has just gone a little bit backwards in his development because he's so unhappy all the time, which is a shame. And we can't really fix that until we sell him, if we do sell him, which I don't want to do. We're going to trigger his extension right now, actually, as well. There you go, 3-year extension to his contract. So there we are. Right, let's look at some players' development then for the whole season. Aled Harrison. So for the last season, Aled Harrison has improved quite a bit. He's still slowly improving, getting better as a goalkeeper, getting more experienced, less prone to mistakes. I think next year we'll see his goal mistakes come down from 5 to hopefully to about 3. And generally plays better as a goalkeeper throughout. Luke Norval, the other goalkeeper that we're looking at, again, improving over the last 12 months in all development points, so looking pretty good. Mitchell King, pretty much staying the same. By the way, I'll just show you the goalkeepers as well. So this was Aled Harrison across all 3 of his areas, and that was Luke Norval. Feel free to pause if you want to re-watch that and make sure you get it. But yeah, that was those 2. And again, going back then to Mitchell King, you can see that he's had a pretty mixed 12 months, probably getting close to his maximum, which is fine, but there we are. Somebody who hasn't hit the maximum yet is Carl Andrew. Now, Carl Andrew is looking very, very good. If he could just get his marking into double figures, that would make life a lot easier looking at his profile, but he's a very, very good player. Definitely the first choice middle centre-back right now, and he's probably in the team ahead of Sam Hughes and Tom Hamer by a clear distance, I would say, at this point. Giannis not really doing too much for us, is he, at the moment? Not really in the first team, though, so we'll have to make sure he gets more game time for the 21s. There's Ian Day, the backup left wing back. Sam Heller still having a quiet bit of progression, but not really making any jumps at these days. Brendan Hughes showing some worrying signs. Yeah, he's been unhappy for a full season. It's affecting his training. He's constantly got bad training ratings. I might start having to have a go at him, I think, about his training. He might not respond to it because he's so unhappy with the whole situation, but Justin Parker-Trott still continues to develop in most areas, still looking pretty good. Hopefully continues it and doesn't stagnate because we need him to keep going. That's Stephen Hudson, like Vision +4 in the last 12 months. That's just the last 12 months, don't forget. Dribbling's going up. So for me, if he can get his passing up to about 10, dribbling up to about 10, acceleration 10, agility 10, if he can get all these up to like 10, he's going to be a really good all-round midfield player. And he's definitely going to be the starter next season as the pivot player ahead of Sam Heller at this stage. Tom Kiernan, slow progression from him. He's slowly getting better and better. I think he's better as a box-to-box midfield player or a wing-back rather than an actual 10 in just the way that he plays in the match engine and the ratings that he gets. But he is developing into a good number 10 actually as well, looking at this. So, do you know what? Maybe not. Maybe he's going to stay as a 10. We'll have to wait and see. John King, last 12 months, doesn't really ever change, does he, these days? Alberto Polo's slowly progressing again after his long-term injury. Damaged ligaments. So, he's getting there. Hopefully, he's good enough to become like a second Tom Kiernan. I feel like he's always going to fall just short of that, but he's at least a potential player to use as a 10. And they have it as mostly the players that we need to show you there that we've shown you now. Okay, so going into the season, I think I'm going to keep the tactic exactly the same as last year. I'm going to play some of those players with high potential early because I do think that no matter what happens, we're not going to go down. I think we're good enough to stay up. Depending on who we lose, of course, in the summer. That could be a problem, of course. But I think that... So we're gonna do it and see what we can get out of these other youngsters because like that's two players. Like Kyle Andrew is one because I thought David Webster was going to be the next big thing for us as centre back. Kyle Andrew and Stephen Hudson have sort of come out of nowhere to become like first choice players, and they're both now like key starters. So I'm gonna I think do that for next season, and we'll see where we end up going in across the whole time. Now in terms of training, what I'm gonna do is like I mentioned before, I'm gonna take a couple of months in this bracket here, and I'm just going to tag those onto the end of the season and do that instead to see if that gets us not this. Like, there isn't much of a similarity in terms of training between these two seasons, but the results have gone exactly the same way. And, I mean, that really could just be down to the pattern of fixtures again. Like, there might not be too much to learn from that. It might just be that we had tough fixtures at the wrong time. We had players fit this time around. This time round, we had hardly any players out in this period. Players had just come back, but players are mostly fully fit. We got like a 1 red card. Hudson got sent off in that game, but that was it. Like, the first team was pretty much there. I can't complain about injuries for the last part of the season. That was us not doing very well. So, gonna have to definitely reflect on that and put that in. So we'll give that a go next season. Again, for the youth teams, they will still do that technique session or that technique schedule for the remaining part of the season. But the first team will just repeat 2 of these months in the middle. I'll just have a look through and just pick 2 that seem about right. I feel like about two is about right because the main schedule finishes about there. So you want 4 weeks, you want almost 2 months of it. Yeah, that's going to be about right. 2 months of it will be about right. So we'll get to March and then we'll repeat like, I don't know, month 5, weeks 1 to 4, then month 6, 1 to 4, something like that. Maybe 4 and 5 we'll do. I'll have a look through anyway and have a look what I think's best. But that's going to be the plan. And in terms of goals scored and conceded this year, so we ended up with 69 goals scored, 63 against. Last season, we scored 59 and conceded 57. So we've gotten a lot better with goals scored. We got slightly worse with goals against, which is quite interesting to note. But that season wasn't the whole season with this current tactic, whereas this one is. So it's almost like we need another season to see where we're at next season. Like, there's a few different ways we can look at success here. Can we finish higher than 13th? Even with less points, if we finish higher on the table, that could be looked at as a good thing. Can we finish with more points? If we finish 13th again, but we get 70 points, 72 points, that's still pretty good. Both would be ideal. And if we finish with the same amount of points, or even slightly lower, but we play our proper young players, our 17-year-olds, the whole season, that could be seen as a positive because we've got a similar amount of points, but we'll be able to use the real youngsters. Now, we might lose a first-team player this summer. I think that Brendan Hughes potentially could. I don't think somebody's going to activate his release clause, to be honest. I just don't think they will. But they could, right? And then there's also Justin Parker-Trott I think we could lose. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see, basically. But I'm really keen to get our youngster Helder into the first team next season. So he's going to be in the first team really early on. And he's only 15, though, so when's his birthday? 24th of June, so it's going to be pretty soon, but there you are. Okay, right, so we'll do the same episode as we did last year. So what you're going to do now is join back with me at the start of next season in the September sort of period. We'll have played a few games off camera, then we'll get into 3 games on camera and see how we're sort of doing, and I can give you an update on things at that point. I might just promote Helder to the first team right away and just play him instead of Powell early on. That's my gut feeling. or play him instead of John King. I'm not too sure. Maybe John King's the one that drops out, but it's going to be somebody anyway. We're going to give him a go very, very early on, and we'll see how it all develops from there. But that's going to do this part of the episode, so I'll join you back at the start of next season. We will have played through the whole preseason, we've done all the training, and I'll show you what we've got sort of planned for the rest of the season. So I'll see you then, see you in a few seconds, and we'll hopefully be in a really good position, and we've started well the next season. Although we have started well in other seasons and still had the same type of season, so I guess we can't really ever know too much from it, but we'll see. No, I completely forgot again to show you the end of season review, so we'll make sure we do this as well. So followers have gone up by 26,000 people, which is great. We'll accept the current vision. Team meeting. We'll just say that to the boys. Yeah, happy with that. Good. Boys aren't that ambitious. The boys aren't too ambitious, apparently, with what they want to achieve next season, so that helps us out quite a lot. I mean, I just don't understand this. Failed. Develop the Sky Bet Championship's best youth system. I mean, are they watching any of our games or what we're doing? Justin Parker-Trott wins EFL Young Player of the Year award. Brilliant stuff from Justin Parker-Trott, and he dedicates it to me. Hopefully that's enough to stop him from leaving us, but there you go. Really good stuff, Justin Parker-Trott. Congratulations, mate. Best player in the championship of all the young players, apparently. Yeah, I don't know what's happened. I noticed that the news item came up, but I couldn't click on it. The end of season review didn't come up, and I couldn't click on it like you normally can. Yeah, I don't know what's happened, so I guess that's going to end that then. So I will see you all in a few months' time, and hopefully we've had a good start to the season, and players are looking good, but we'll end up finding out together. So see you in a few months in the game, and a few seconds in real life. Okay, welcome back. I have got some very, very bad news. Justin Parker-Trott's release clause was activated, and he has left us for Brentford. He had a choice of Brentford or Forest. He chose Brentford, and he leaves us, which is absolutely devastating. But we got to keep him for one extra year than I thought we'd be able to keep him for. So at least we got the extra year out of him, but it means we have to move on. And we've only played 2 games so far. We lost the first league match, won the game on penalties in the cup. So I thought I'd bring you back for the whole game, the Portsmouth game and the Watford game here in today's episode to sort of round this one off. And that is going to be your first team early on, I think. So I promoted a couple of players to the first team squad. First is Helder, the youngster we looked at back in the last season. Very young, probably doesn't need to start just yet. Could probably take him out and leave him in the 21s for a little bit. I might do that. We'll have to wait and see how things develop with him coming up. Also, I think either Lee Burley here or alternatively in our 21s we have Nicky Winnell. I think either one of those two could become a very good inverted wing back for us on the left hand side, almost like a central fielder that can play on the wing there. So between those two, one of them is going to be promoted as the sort of backup left back, I think, to Terry Taylor. Early on, I've shoved out Brennan Hughes onto the wing, but I don't know if that's the right move or not. I think that to get all the youngsters in, to get Sam Heller potentially in with Stephen Hudson, that might be the best way to go. I've also promoted Alberto Polo. He came up to the first team as soon as I lost Justin Parker-Trott, because I thought if he comes in, he could play in the middle, and it would shove either Brendan Hughes or maybe Tom Kiernan wide. He could play as a 10 or a central field player, right? We have got Giannis. I mean, if Giannis was to improve his agility and ball control, he could be a wing back potentially, but right now he's just too weak to play in that position, I think. Although Giannis needs to get into the team somehow. I think if he's going to improve, I would like to see him really get a chance at improving. So maybe I do try and play him in the middle instead of maybe Sam Heller. Do we just maybe do that? Because we know how good Sam is. He's lacking a bit of this though, isn't he? I just like him in Hudson. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Giannis probably gets... If we look like we're definitely not going to be in the playoffs again this year, I will almost definitely play Giannis from the start in central field, just accept that. I'm a bit worried early on in case we get in a relegation fight, which I don't want to be a part of, which after the first game I was really worried about because the first game was not very good at all. But you can join me here then for the second game of the season, second league match. We haven't scored a goal yet against Hull City and Portsmouth, and followed by Watford. The sale of Justin Parker-Trott did give us a lot of money though, and I have upgraded the training facilities yet again. That'll be done in January. We'll go back up to, I think, state of the art most likely, which is good. That's the positive from it. Not that there are many positives. Also, I forgot to mention Neil Davidson here. I looked at him and I thought, actually, if he was given a run in the first team, he could become a first-choice centre-back really quickly. So I decided to put Neil Davidson into the first team instead of Sam Hughes. I think is really going to decline this year. This will be Sam Hughes' last year with us. He's on the big decline, as you can see here. So he goes to centre-back 5, if you will, the fifth-choice centre-back. Tom Hamer is number 4, so any injuries at all, Tom Hamer comes in. That's really easy. That'll be the case, I think, for a couple of years. And that is your new current first choice back 3. The reason Hamer's dropped is I gave him one chance to start early on. Thought, okay, let's give Hamer a chance. Plays right centre-back, gives away a penalty, plays terribly, so he's done. And he's out. I'm not sure he's ready to play, but we're going to do it anyway, because if this is going to be a lost year, I want it to be a lost year with lots of development. So let's see what happens. Assistant manager says, make full use of home advantage. Okay. I was just thinking already, could I move Joe Powell into the central field slots, play him on the left, and play King up front as well? And that's gone, because now Joe Powell is injured. Although I'm going to do this, I think, and play John King down the middle in this way now. Brendan Hughes throws it into John King, back to Brendan. Tries to let back into it, doesn't quite get there. Brendan's going to get it back, though. He needs support. He's got support now into the box. Cross doesn't quite get there either. We need to try and get some pressure on him early if we can. They're going to mess around with it at the back here. They could put themselves in a bit of trouble. Or they're going to get out of it, though. Good play from them. They're going to get out from it on the left-hand side. Wow, they're right, our left. They get a bit of time on the ball as well. Got pretty well structured and placed players, but not really. Once they do commit to the press, it looks like they're like a yard off. I don't think we're going to force a mistake here, are we? I think they're going to play through us. Oh, no, we finally got one. Hudson into the youngster. Plays a great ball through to Tom Kinn. Goes to one beyond. Is he going to score? He's got to play across. Penalty! And the youngster I put on pens. He's the third best penalty taker in the club, or one of. It's pretty close. But I just put him to number 1, see if he can get an early goal. Yes, and he does. The youngster, the young 16-year-old. And the youngster Helder has done it, and it's 1-0 to Burton Albion. There's his first goal for the club. Hopefully the one of very, very many. That's 1-0. I'm very aware, though, we only created a chance because of a penalty. And also the penalty was created by a turnover, which, I mean, that's okay. We're quite a structured side out of possession at times for teams to break down. But, you know, here we go again on the counter again. Look at this. Keenan into Brendan Hughes, takes a touch. Plays a terrible pass, and we get it back. Yet again, Sam Heller getting interceptions, which is good. Heller plays it behind to Terry Taylor, takes a touch, plays it back into Davidson, who's going to cross the ball as he now does. And John King's there. It's going to be 2. It's going to be 2 for Burton Albion. And my goodness me, I'm so pleased we've won this game. If we would have lost again and got battered, I would have been so concerned. 2-0. Yeah, Terry Taylor gets it wide. He looks for some support. I'm glad that the side centre-back, Neil Davidson here, gets involved. Plays a delicious little toe poke cross into John King, who makes it 2. Ultimately, though, even if we were going to have a poor season, this is one of the very few games we could have still won because it's Hull City at home early in the season. The test is not going to be this game. It's going to be the next 2. Like, if we lose the next 2 and are pretty comprehensively beaten, I think our season ahead is really a development season, and we're looking at finishing mid-table probably again is a good result. Don't get relegated and see what we can do. As Helder goes through, the youngster, what is he doing? Oh, that was so close. I've also got Gavin still, who I did demote Gavin to the 21s. The main reason was last year he was in the first team squad, didn't get a lot of minutes, so I decided to put him to the 21s and let him just get minutes there. But to be honest, if this becomes a development season, then I think that we put him back in, and Kiernan can drop back to midfield, and he can just go in the front 3 with King and Helder. Set piece for Hull, towards the far post, headed towards goal, and it's just tapped in, right next to the goalkeeper. 2-1. Going to take off Sam Helen, put on Giannis, I think, for the last half an hour here. Brendan Hughes whips it in towards the middle, headed towards goal, and it's just over the bar. Going to take off Helder. He's done 70 minutes, done a good job for us. Let's get Victor on as the left striker now, I think. Terry Taylor throws it into John King, plays it back to Giannis, who's got a bit of time, plays it to Hudson, who's got a bit of time as well. Andrew, plenty of time. Tom Kidham, brilliant little turn and touch, and unfortunately the pass wasn't read by John King, which is a common theme when he plays as the middle striker, which is sort of, I want to try and replace him if I can. But he's still a threat. He still does his job. He's 6'6". He's going to have a chance in scoring goals in the air. Hopefully we don't come back and draw this. Oh, please don't throw this away, lads. We need to win this game, really. We really do need to win this one. And Hull City, are they going to get a highlight? They might do here. It's a red card. Okay, we're down to 10 men again for the second time this season. Free kick for Hull City. Wide, whipped towards the far post, headed towards goal. And they've scored another one of those. I just don't understand it. Highlight again. They play it across. They're going to get a chance to own goal. If they win this game, I'm going to be devastated. I think he's just off. He is. Highlight here. Hull City gets it. They play it back across to their defence. They're going to get a bit of time to get onto the ball. They play in behind. I think they're through, are they? It wasn't offside either. It's going to finish 2-2. I'm going to say unlucky, but I'm actually really disappointed in that. We should have won the game. Powell's up for 3 months. Oh, dear. But that is going to open up a lot of minutes now for the youngsters. Definitely going to promote Gavin back to the first team. We have got Ian Lockwood, who's coming back from his long-term injury as well, which is going to be really good. See him get some minutes. Because he could have been like really, really top level. But we'll never really know, I guess, until now he gets out of his cruise ship injury and getting it so young as well. Okay, I'll see you in a week's time for the Portsmouth game. I don't know exactly who's going to apply, but we'll figure it out. Okay, we go then. Portsmouth away. The team is going to be Harrison in goal with Davidson, Andrew, King across the back. Taylor, Hughes in the middle. Heller, Hudson in the middle together with King, Pritchard and Helder up front. A pretty young and new team in this game. This could be a really tough game for us, despite the fact that Portsmouth should be a slightly easier game than we could have potentially played in this one. But it's away from home. We haven't won a game in the league yet. And we've got a lot of players out going into this one. Assistant manager said go out there and impress and put on a show. So, okay. I have got Victor learning to play right wing back in case I want to put Hughesy in the middle somewhere and put him out on the wing, because Victor's just really ineffective as a striker now in a shadow striker role. He really is like, almost not worth playing. I may as well play Youngster, who's going to play badly but get minutes. It's got to that stage, so I might even do this at half time. I might take off Heller and rotate this around a little bit. It's going to be a free kick from miles out from Hudson. He's probably not going to score from here, surely. Shoots on goal, yes, over the bar. I just don't like Heller. I just don't like Heller and Hudson as a midfield two together, really. I just think that they're not really dynamic and creative enough between the two of them. I think they're both really CDMs. So I might do this now, actually. Let's put Victor on right wing back there. Let's see how that goes. The team's still going to struggle a little bit because it's quite weak in front. We've got two really young players who aren't championship level at all in Helder and Pritchard. Corner, Hudson whips it in towards the near post. Is headed away. Taylor gets to it. Victor gets it. Plays it back to Hudson, who is onside. Crosses it into the box. It's cleared away. We're going to get it down, though. Pritchard's going to get onto it first. Plays it to Mitchell King. Plays it into Terry Taylor. I think he's onside. You know, he goes through, shoots, and it's a terrible effort on goal. It's a corner for Portsmouth towards the far post. Headed away. Helder's going to try and press. The ball doesn't quite do anything with it. They get a shot from distance. It takes a deflection. I hope that guy's offside. He is not, and it's 1-0 to Portsmouth. My goodness, we're in trouble. Late set piece. Played into the box. Keeper's come and collected it for Portsmouth. They're going to go along with this set piece. It's whether we can get this down quickly and try and progress an attack. We're going to win the first one we do. Can Brendan Hughes get to this? He does not quite get to it, so they're going to build their attack from here. They get in behind. It's going to be a chance for them. I'm already thinking Brendan Hughes has to go back to the middle because I just feel like we can't control anything with the current players. They have it 2-0 to Portsmouth, say unlucky. Losing Justin Parker-Trott was just devastating, wasn't it? It has really destroyed us. Yeah, if I think about this then, if I play, I mean, who can go wide? I guess I could take Tom Kiernan out. I mean, Joe Powell's going to be out for a long time anyway, so he is another player I have to sort of fill the gap. If I imagine that Joe Powell was fit, what is the best 11? This is the question I'm asking myself right now. I might have to undo this as well, to be honest. I might have to undo this for the time being. Okay, I'm going to play the Bristol City game off camera. I'm going to rotate some players. We're probably going to lose that game as well. And then we'll probably lose to Watford. Then what I'll do is after this episode, I'll do a squad team talk for the 3 home games coming up because that's not looking good. Okay, I'll see you in a few days for the Watford game. Okay, so I don't know how, but the B team beat Bristol City away in the cup. I have no idea they did it, but they did it apparently. So congratulations to them. 1-0 win. So going into the Watford game with a win means we're going to have to play against Colchester in the 3rd round, which, means we could be going through to the League Cup 4th round or out of nowhere, which is quite funny. So your team is going to be Harrison in goal, King, Andrew Hamer across the back in the 3, Taylor and Victor at wing backs, Hudson and Hughes as the box-to-box, as the pivots, and then our brand new youngster Helder with King and Kiernan up front. Assistant manager says, nobody expects us to get a result. Okay, I do. Wow, I wouldn't say expect, I hope. Free kick for Watford towards the far post, headed towards goal. We might have to look at these free kicks, because that's what's costing us. Okay, half-time is 0-0, nothing's happened at all. We'll say, keep going, lads. And do it for the fans. Now, Taylor's going to get the first pass straight away. Mitchell King takes touches into Carl Andrew. Plays a pass into absolutely nobody. Our left cam, the youngster, isn't quite reading those passes early on. Taylor into Brendan Hughes. Great pass into John King. Goes to 1-1. Is he going to score it? Is he going to score it? He skies it. A highlight's about to happen right before I make my change, but what I was going to do was look to get Helder maybe off the pitch here. Alberto Polo played pretty well in the last game, but he just doesn't look explosive enough to be effective enough at this level, right? So I'm a bit concerned about where to put him in, but I was going to just put him on the left maybe for the left-hand side, but this is a proper highlight. This highlight started right before I paused the game, so this could be a goal for Watford. I think it's going to be their highlight. Taylor's won it, though. Gives a temporary bit of hope that it could be ours. Oh, no, Tom Kiernan could be through. We haven't got any express pace players. Tom Kiernan goes through, and he's missed it. Oh, come on, lads. Highlight here. Watford have the ball. They throw it down into their left-hand side. Victor's on yellow card, and he's on 6.3. I might take him off. As they go through and they shoot from distance, it goes nowhere. Yeah, let's bring on... Oh, I should bring on Giannis there. Let's give Giannis a go at right wing back. Why not? Okay, Giannis throws the ball into Brendan Hughes. Plays it straight to the opposition. And they're going to build an attack from us, giving the ball away immediately. And they go straight through the middle of the pitch. They go straight through to Rogan. Is he onside? Is he onside? He is. That's going to be 1-0. It's a shame. We played really well this game. We've had a good number of shots and good XG compared to theirs. We're away from home and out of form, don't forget as well. That's what you got to factor that in when you look at the stats. We've got like 1.47 XG to their 0.5. We're out of form, got hardly any players that like, they can compete at this level, and we're going to lose 2-0. So, going to say unlucky. Yeah, go to a team meeting and just encourage the lads. Positive. We'll get a friendly in as well to like beat somebody in this game here. Oh, no, not penalties. Just 90 minutes, please. We'll play Balpa. Why not? We'll play them. Yeah, okay, so that's getting the episode. Not a great start at all. Leaves us in the relegation zone, actually, after 4 matches, 1 point from the 4. I mean, 3 of the 4 games were away from home. There is that. And we played a couple of tough games there, but yeah, it's disappointing. Losing Justin Parker-Trott to a different club and then losing Joe Powell for 3 months at the start of the season wasn't great. And yeah, we have to figure out how we're going to cope with this loss, really. It could be that I play Gavin Pritchard on the right, move Tom Keenan to CDM or to box, and then play Brendan Hughes on the right. We could do that. That could be an option for the right-hand side, but so I think he could be a really good forward, right? But I need to see more from him. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, right, next episode. We'll come back for... I think we played Derby quite a lot, don't we, on camera? So we'll play in that sort of bracket again in sort of the December area. Again, I'm not quite sure which way around I'll do it. I might do Derby, Bristol City, Sunderland and give myself all of the November games rather than doing like those 2 in Derby. So that's what we're going to do. I'm hoping it turns around. I've got a lot of faith considering we've got 3 home games in a row coming up. And we need to get points. I need to get them soon. So it's going to be how do I deal with this right-hand side issue? Like, can Victor, even if Victor does play well at wing-back for this year, that's a 1-year fix. He's not going to be good enough to do it again next year, I don't think. He'll drop in his physicals, probably some technicals as well. So he's not really a long-term fix. He'd be a temporary one. So I don't really want to do that. I'm happy for this to be a development year where we really drop off in terms of the playoff race, but we have to then make sure we're not going to go down. I don't want us to be in a relegation fight, you know. That's what, not only because it risks ruining the save by potentially getting sacked, but also losing every week, getting bad match ratings doesn't help the players develop, does it? So looking for those things all to come together in some sort of way. But there we are. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the series, and I'll see you all, of course, in the next one.